Welcome back to the Evan Here's Culture Campaign, everyone. And we are also welcoming back our guest today. He's been on the show before, and he's an absolute delight. It is the film director, the musician, one of the members of the legendary Kid Smoko. It's Matt Salort. How are you, my dude?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm ready to talk music. And what are we talking about today, Matt? We're talking about 2012's
Finally Rich
by Chief Keef.
Keef.
And part of the reason that I asked you to be the guest on this album is because at one point we were talking about the list and I mentioned this album and you proceeded to explain trap and drill to me in the most clear, concise explanation I've ever heard. And I was like, I understand exactly what he's talking about now. And then I forgot it. So I was wondering if
I doubt I could recreate that.
Yeah, can you launch into the primer again of what is trap and or drill?
Well, it's complicated, but also somewhat simple. Drill derives, it's his style of hip hop that derives from Chicago. This is the most basic, and trap is generally associated with coming from the South, from namely Atlanta, the trap as it's called. And it's both are incredibly influential on modern hip hop and are sort of the parents of the current genre of hip hop that is popular in the mainstream today.
And would you say that Chief Keef is one of the progenitors of the style, or is he
the progenitor of the style? Chief Keef is he is modern music. He is the modern man.
It all derives.
It all comes from him. He's hyper pop. He's everything. Like Chief Keef is all forms of modern music. He is everything. He is culture.
I don't know if I took away as much as you seem to have from it, but let's take a step back. Chief Keef, how did you acquaint yourself with Chief Keef?
Around the time that it came out, it was extremely popular. He was especially extremely popular in my New Jersey area. There's one song where he talks about how he's going to go shoot up New Jersey, and that was a big deal. That was a very big deal.
Is that on this album?
I think so. I forget which song.
Go and shoot New Jersey up.
Maybe not this album, but he definitely mentions that at one point in time he was going to go shoot up Jersey because he was having some problems with people in New Jersey allegedly. But yeah, I came across. Love Sosa, and then I was also it was the Chief Keef. Was it the Breakfast Club? No, not the Breakfast Club. Was it the Breakfast Club? But he was on it, and they were asking him. They're like, "How old are you?" I was like, "You're 16." He's like, "No, I'm not 16. I'm 300." It's legendary. It's a thing of legend. Or his beef with Katy Perry when she was.
I didn't know about this. Tell me more about.
This was way back in the day on Twitter. But she was on Twitter saying, there's a song "Hate Being Sober" that's popular now. Like, what does this world come to? And he said something like "suck my dick," to that effect. And it was legendary.
You wouldn't want it any other way, really.
Yeah, no, but they were, but she was like, oh no, I wasn't talking about you, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, we're cool. It was, it was one of those legendary Twitter interactions that the world will never forget.
Yeah, I'm talking in very sort of an overview. Chief Keef, that's one of the best rap names I've ever heard. I was like, Chief Keef.
His real name, Keith Cozart.
I know. I looked that up, and I couldn't believe that his actual name was Keith as well.
Cozart, yeah.
I thought it was just coming from being a cool name. He's
a born legend,
as we all know. So yeah, this album, Finally Rich. I like it. I like it. Is the general when I realized I think this is the kind of the same thing that happened to me and Savage Mode, right? Is I listened to it the first time and it sort of, passes through and I don't really think about it. And then like 3 days later, I'll be sitting around and think, but I was like, what's that? What's that? And then I realized, oh, that's Love Sosa in my head. And it's almost like a Manchurian Candidate, Winter Soldier kind of thing where there's like a sleeper agent that's implanted in your brain and activates. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's one of the greatest albums ever made. It's a 10 out of 10. Every song bangs.
No skips.
It totally, it's culture. It comes from Finally Rich. That's where modern music comes from. Is this album?
Well, what are the? I mean, you say no skips, but what are the real standouts? I mean, Love Sosa. We
I
kick
mean,
off.
aside from the singles, like of course, Hate Being Sober, Love Sosa, those are the big ones.
I don't like.
I don't like, yeah, of course, those are the big ones. But then you have No Tomorrow, you got fucking KK, you got Laughing to the Bank, which might be one of my
Ha
favorites.
ha ha.
Laughing to the
Ha
Bank.
ha
Oh, it's a great song.
ha. Ha. There's a bit of a almost this might be out of left field, but almost a Bob Dylan sort of quality to some trap music, where it's like, you know how there's so many Bob Dylan songs where they don't really have a chorus, but every verse just ends with the same line.
Mm-hmm.
There, and you can lock into that, and you can always sing along to that. You know, that's how I feel a lot in this. Like, that's the shit I don't like, and snap into that.
Yep.
Pop into this, pop into that. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
You got it. So Laughing to the Bank, yeah, that one. I mean, ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Is that iconic in the fan base?
Well, I mean, yeah, I would say it certainly is. I mean, it's one of the lesser iconic songs, but it's any Chief Keef fan knows "Laughing at the Bank."
But are they looking at each other going ha ha ha, ha ha ha? And that's.
I mean, if you're at, I guarantee, if you're at the Chief Keef concert, everybody there's. Oh, do you know the whole time when he did the hologram?
I was trying to read into the history of all the legal battles and everything that he's encountered, and it's overwhelming.
Yeah, he's barred from ever returning to Chicago.
Yeah, there was when my friend Mac and I were doing Savage Mode, he sort of questioned me. He's like, "Do you think that 21 Savage really does all this stuff that he's talking about?" I was like, "I'm not sure." This album, a lot closer to, I believe so. I believe a lot of it is very truthful.
Have you seen the video that the first sample comes from, the Love Sosa sample?
No, what is it?
Always in the barbershop, talking about Chief Keef ain't know this, Chief Keef ain't, that one?
Yeah, I remember
because that was a viral video before, like it hit the. He used a bunch of fan clips on this album, which is incredible.
That is a good way to.
He's tapped with the bass. He's tapped with everything. He knows the future. You listen to some of these beats, you're like, wow, this sounds like some Uzi type beats.
Well, he did produce, I believe, something on the new.
Yeah, there's also a lot of Young Chop. Michael made it. Some of the great
Chop on the beat
of our time.
Yeah. So this hologram thing. He was banned from Chicago, so he did a hologram. What's the deal with the hologram?
Well, there's a video where he's they do the hologram on stage, but the police shut it down. Like they won't even let his hologram there.
That's how banned he is.
He's very banned. He's extremely banned.
That's like some Robin Hood kind of stuff of like the King Richard or whatever, the outlaw king.
Yeah,
the people want to come back and save their city. A lot of good features on this.
Mm-hmm. Although you might have the Wiz Khalifa feature.
Well, how do you feel about Wiz Khalifa?
I don't want to talk bad about anybody. This was specifically what I was mentioning at the beginning. If I talk trash about anybody, you're gonna have to censor me. The Wiz Khalifa feature, it's a 10 out of 10.
My frame of reference for Wiz is just Young, Wild, and Free. So,
that's classic tunes, classic song.
That is a classic. I mean, it's always good to hear, Rick Ross, I suppose, always.
I mean, this is back when Rick Ross was a hot commodity. He's the top of his game.
Yeah, he's coming up very soon on this show, and it's great because it's great. It's actually the next rap album, and this one's finally rich, and his is Rich Forever. So it's almost like a little bit of a narrative there of I finally got rich, now I'm rich forever, even though they're different.
Are you familiar with Rich Forever, the collective?
No.
Jake Rich, Famous Dex.
No, I don't know any of it.
I mean, they had the.
This is why the show came into being, is so I can learn more about the collectives and. Well,
they Chief Keef. There would be no Rich Forever if there was no Chief Keef. That's all I'm saying.
Really.
No Playboy Cardi if there's no Chief Keef. No Lil Pump without Chief Keef.
Rap's gain, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
I do like how I don't like that song is so they know it's the best song, so just in Understand Me, just like halfway through that they break back into that's the shit I don't like because
I do sort of like it and hate it when artists do that on albums. Like LCD Sound System does that with I forget which song it is, but they bring back like is it the Dance Yourself Clean? I forget what
I
it is.
believe the dance.
Yeah, and they bring that back, and I'm like, like you could have just written another song.
Well, I mean, the same thing on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy on Power. You have that,
yeah,
and it comes back on Lost in the World, I believe, where it's or it's and it's the same.
It was the Sidney Gish.
Yeah. I don't know what Sidney Gish. I don't even know who that. Who's this?
She's great. I think you'd like her a lot, actually.
I feel like we've covered, the tracks. We've talked about the Keef. We've talked about some of the history. I mean, is there anything else you want to bring up to bring to light when we're talking about Finally Rich?
I mean, it's an album I enjoyed when I was 13, and it's an album I enjoy now. And if you played it, when I'm old, I'm sure it would elicit the same sort of feelings within me. I mean, I don't know, man. It's very interesting. I mean, one thing interesting about it is the mixing is like very aged, and like just how I don't know. I find that very strange with like hip hop music that the mixing doesn't age well. But I guess that's probably true with almost all music, and will continue to be true. But it's like I don't know, like the beats would hit so much harder if they had some like modern, like if they had like a remaster sort of deal going on.
I think this album could have, and I bet you'll disagree, could have benefited from a skit.
A skit? No.
I would have loved this.
I mean, there basically are skits. That opening, whatever, the little clip is basically a skit.
Oh, but I don't want some sample skits. I want full on Riders of the Dorm type stuff.
Mr. Keef.
I will take it up with that. I mean, speaking of Mr., I mean, I thought I was just impressed finding out how young he was when this.
Yeah, he's a child. When he blew up, when that came out, he was like 16. He was 16 when Finally Rich came out.
Yeah, how depressing.
How depressing? Why?
I get depressed by all these young folks succeeding at all these young ages,
Yeah, but they burn out quick is the thing.
That's true. Is Keef still? What's his? Obviously, he had a legacy on everybody else, but is he still going strong? Or
I mean, he's extremely prolific. Like I was surprised looking through his discography. Like there's like the Glow Files volumes like 1 through 6, and then he's also got there's like 4 Finally Riches. And there's so many different albums. I mean, he puts out like three or 4 albums a year. Are they good? I don't know. He's had some good songs in the past, in like 2015. Like Finito. Finito is one of his best songs, and that was off of I don't know which album it was off of. And also his dance hall song I like a lot from like 2017. Can You Be My Friend? Can you be my friend? I would like to tell you who I am. It's a great song. So bang, bang, I don't want no scrubs.
Does it really become that song?
What?
Does it become No Scrubs?
He says the line. I don't want.
Okay. Wow, he's got that. Doesn't JPEG's got No Scrubs as well?
Yeah.
That's really permeated.
There'd be no Billie Eilish if Chief Keef never existed.
Yeah, I saw people saying that. I was trying to get a sense of what other people thought.
People been saying that?
Yeah, people were saying, "Oh, Billie Eilish is nothing compared to Chief Keef."
I mean, they're right. They're definitely right.
Yeah, and with that, I mean, I think that's a good way to cap it off. I mean, what's coming out with you, Matt? Obviously, you just had a new Kid Smoko single and video, "Come With Me," right, featuring Mia Gladstone.
Yep.
Who is a person. I mean, is there anything else on the horizon?
There are things on the horizon, but the promos will come later. We're not in that stage yet. Movie on the way, as always. Movies being worked on.
Thank you, Matt, for appearing once again. You're always welcome. We love having you on the show.
I had some fun. It was a great time.